We're speaking about this beautiful book that Ajani and Kishma co-wrote, this mother-daughter duo. Why do you guys think it's so important to tell this story in the Caribbean?
Since it's about the Whispering Breeze, I decided to make that book because it relates to me when I was at school with the teacher I had.
Whether we like it or not, we carry the ancestral residue. So there's shouting, there's corporal punishment, there's what is accepted ways of behavior for children. And children with special needs, children who may be autistic, children who may be neurodivergent, often get labeled different. So they may be called rude, they may be called stubborn, they may be called disrespectful. And a lot of the times this may just be, whether it be dyslexia, whether it be ADHD, whether it be autism, a lot of the times it may just be something that is not diagnosed.
This episode was recorded on riverside.fm. Log on today to start your own podcasting journey. Hello guys, how are you doing?
We're good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Happy to have you guys on. This is the first time we're ever having a mother-daughter duo on Game Changers. And to thank you so much for coming on. Let's have a conversation. I think it's a pretty interesting story. So to begin, tell us a little bit about yourself. Maybe Ajani can go first.
Yeah, absolutely. Ajani, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Ajani Augustine. I'm 11 years old. Some of my hobbies are to collect shells, especially the really pretty ones. I like to play online games. I have 3 siblings, and I am the daughter of Kishma.
Nice. Very nice, Ajani. Okay, let's hear from Mommy now.
Well, my name is Kishma. I let's see the shortest version. I'm her mom. I
Beautiful.
journalist, spoken word poet, author, generally an advocate for women and children, and kind of like Quinn in the business of changing games when and where feasible.
Beautiful. I like to hear that 100%. All right. So then the reason why I have two of you on is because you guys did something rather special, right?
Yeah.
I know that Ajani is an author. That's something that I wish I could say about myself, but I can't even say that about myself. And you're only 11 years old. So tell me a little bit about this book that you wrote, Ajani.
Well, since it's about the Whispering Breeze, I decided to make that book because it relates to me when I was at school with the teacher I had. So, like, the teacher in the book relates to me because she was like the teacher I had in school, and it also relates to me because she was getting overstimulated and she felt like she didn't fit in inside of the class. And that also related to me because that's how I felt during school times. So that's a little bit about the book I want to say.
Nice. Very nice. I love to hear that. So this book, from what I understand, first of all, tell us the name of the book and then we'll go into some of the details about it. So what's the name of the book?
So the book is called The Whispering Breeze, written by me, written by my mom and I, since both of us thought and wrote about this book.
Beautiful. So then, Kishma, I know that parents play a major role in the development of their children. So then, tell me, what was your role in getting this book? Was this Ajani's idea, or was it your idea and you inspired her to take this on?
A little bit of both. So
Okay.
Ajani is neurodivergent. So
Mm-hmm.
which basically means that her brain processes differently. So
Right.
she can be hyper focused. She can have
Mm.
sensory overload in terms of sounds and loud noises and stuff like that. But she was having some trouble in the classroom
Mhm.
in terms of the understanding of it. The teacher and I had spoken, but Ajani had gotten to the point where she was kind of closed off as a result of just the environment in the classroom, the noise and the shouting and that kind of thing, which is typical of our Caribbean classrooms. But
Unfortunately,
when
yeah.
I sat, yeah, unfortunately, but when I sat with her and would speak about it, and the concern for her was there are probably a lot of children who are having that experience. So we were trying to figure out a way to, you know, to meet that need. And then the book came about. So the book came in terms of some of what she was facing, but also how we can curate it for our Caribbean environment. So I handled the illustration and the putting it together, but she did more of the heavy lifting.
So, Ajani, your mom is telling me that this character is almost mirroring you. So it's similar to you. Did you feel like telling this story would help somebody else who might be going through the similar struggles that you went through?
Yes. So basically, at the end of the book, it says how the book can help other children. Well,
Mm-hmm.
it says how when other children read this book, parents or teachers can learn to listen to them and learn to stop calling, to stop making them feel overwhelmed and stop making them feel indifferent to other people. And I feel like since this book is about, well, it's basically mirroring me, as you said, and since I'm neurodivergent also, I feel like it would be a good decision for the parents and teachers to read it and for them to just listen to the children.
Nice, nice. I like that a lot. So then, why do you guys, and both of you can answer this question, why do you guys think it's so important to tell this story in the Caribbean? Or in St. Lucia, let's start with St. Lucia in the Caribbean in general. So, Mama, you can start first on this one.
Okay. Um, we have a very unique way of teaching and learning in the Caribbean. We, I think, when you come from any country that has post-colonial ties, they we whether we like it or not, we carry the ancestral um residue. So there's shouting, there's corporal punishment, there's um what is accepted ways of behavior for children. And children with special needs, children who may be autistic, children who may be neurodivergent, often get labeled different. So they may be called rude, they may be called stubborn, they may be called disrespectful. And a lot of the times this may just be whether it be dyslexia, whether it be ADHD, whether it be autism. A lot of the times it may just be something that is not diagnosed, which is something else because we don't have a lot in place for diagnosing persons. It's often if it's on the extreme end. But then the simple things that you observe within yourself, that if you're in a room and there's a lot of people, then as is the case with me, you get overwhelmed. If so, you learn coping mechanisms. You learn to mask, but we don't have an environment that supports that. So the child is left feeling like something is wrong with them, like they
Right.
are somehow a bit different because the shouting or the belittling is not something that just they're able to just shrug off. It sits in their spirit, so to speak.
Got you. Got you. And Ajani, what are your thoughts? How can a book like this help people like you in the classroom? I know you spoke about it a
Well,
little bit before, but you can speak more about it. Yeah.
Well, I feel like it would help the children since it's about Mia being overwhelmed and feeling indifferent because she gets treated differently from the other children since she's neurodivergent like me. So I feel like reading this book or so I feel like either if teachers or parents read this book, they'll learn how to cope with their children and not to make them feel different about themselves and make them seem like they're helpless or make them just feel like they're not worth anything or they're just there doing nothing. Or they can just listen to them and then learn not to make them feel bad about themselves because every child has a right to be seen and be loved. So I feel like this book would help with that.
Beautiful. I love that. That's very well said, Ajani. All right, so we're due for our first break, and we'll be back with more Kishma Siri and Ajani in a little bit. You spend months planning for the perfect event. You have great guests, you have great speakers, and the event is a success. But in 24 hours, it's gone. But what if it doesn't have to be? Introducing Event Voices by Game Changers. We shoot a live podcast episode at your event, turning your speakers into content. We blend our production quality with your event. Your speakers plus our production quality and distribution equals more leads for everybody. For more information on how you can transform your event into something game-changing, contact us via the information on the screen. All right, so we're back with Kishma and Ajani. Ajani, you've spoken so much already, and I love where the conversation has been going. You know, you're very well spoken. Um, but I know that your book mentions something about a whispering breeze. Now, we still want people to buy the book and find out for themselves, but can you still just explain what is that whispering breeze? What is a whispering breeze?
So basically, the breeze in the story is like Mia's supporter to help her with the overwhelm and her indifference. So since they don't allow any dogs or cats or crabs or birds inside of the school, I wanted to put a breeze so that it's like an invisible supporter so no one would really know about it. And the second thing I wanted to mention is that since it's breeze, it could be anywhere with her and it could support her anywhere she goes. So, for example, if she's in a crowd, she could always just talk to the breeze and it would help her get over her overwhelming full of the people there.
Very nice, very nice. So it's something that can help her, but she alone knows about it. And you know, sometimes we need a connection like that, right? We need people who would connect with us, that are just our special person. And is your mother somebody like that for you, Ajani? Even if she's not with you all the time, but is she like that for you? And was she like that when you worked on the book?
Yes, very much so. She's talked to me about it and she made me feel better about it because while everything was going on with my teacher, I was getting overwhelmed and I was feeling different. But she spoke to me about it and I started to feel better about it. So answering the question, yes, she is like my supporter, even if she's not there.
Lovely. And then Kishma, what was it like working with your daughter on this book? Something that you know is really a passion project for her because she connects with it so much, and obviously you connect with it so much as well as her mom.
Yeah, and the experience was beautiful. It was also very
I
emotional
can imagine.
because it is, you know, yeah, it opens up a vulnerable space because you're literally sharing your daughter's story, and you're also you trying your best to make it generic, but you also recognize that um it does have a tendency, if one is tipping ego to offend. It's not designed to offend, but based on how you interpret it. Like we were saying in terms of persons who yell and maybe may feel justified in doing so. So the entire experience was it was beautiful, but it was very emotional because I felt like I was, you know, sharing my daughter's story with the
Yes,
world
yes,
as it
yes. And was that scary for you? Did you feel afraid to share the story in a sense? Because I mean, as much as you know, you wanted her to put out this story. Like you said, it's very personal, right? But did you feel like it was a scary process for you?
a little bit,
Okay.
and I think that's how the parent and teacher guide ended up at the end of the book, because we wanted the book not just to be about what she was going through, but for other parents to be able to connect. Because a lot of the time, we do things for the lack of knowledge, and then we wanted simple tips that does not disrupt the classroom, does not require you to restructure everything around one child, because we can appreciate the limitations, but just simple activities, simple um sensory activities, simple corners that the teachers can create, simple things that the parents can do to regulate the children's nervous system, things that take relatively, 1-2 minutes, that kind of thing. So it allows for you to take care of each child without disrupting the entire balance of everything. So in and of itself, yes, there was the fear, more for her than for
Yeah.
me. Um, because she does have a tendency to be shy until she gets comfortable. So
Right.
I did not want her to be exposed in that way. But I also recognize it's how you tell the story.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now I know this book targets a specific age range. I think it's 4 to 10 years old, right? If I'm right. Okay.
Yes.
So why is
Yes.
it so important that this message goes to these individuals, these young people, and what would you like them to learn?
Um, you wanna answer that? Oh no.
Yeah, she can go. Either one of you can go.
Okay, so for me, because I chose the age range
Hmm.
because of the simplicity of the book, but the idea was for children not to see themselves as being broken. The idea was for you to be able to relate to the character. So from kindergarten, if you look at, because the illustrations in the book has there's a part where you see Mia with her hand over her ears, and there's words like scraping on the board, like the various sounds.
Yes.
So even if you're 5 or 6 or 7, where you're discovering yourself and you're realizing certain things, but you've not been able to pinpoint what it is. The book is designed to let you know there's nothing inherently wrong with you. Your brain is just processing differently.
Yes.
So before you get to 40 and you recognize that, hey, oh, that's what's been happening for the last
All
40
right.
years. So it kind of gives you a jump on self-love and being patient with yourself and understanding how your brain processes.
Got you. 100%. All right. So we due for another break. We'll come back with more Ajani and Kishma right after these messages.
Creating videos can be tough, but it doesn't have to be. Let me show you how Veed makes it easy in just 3 steps. Step 1. Upload your video to Veed's platform. It's as simple as drag and drop, no tech skills needed. Step 2. Edit your video with powerful tools. Add text, music, and effects to make it pop. Step 3. Export your masterpiece in seconds. Share it with the world and watch your creativity shine. Want to try it out? Use code VEED20 for a discount. Stop stressing and start creating with Veed today.
All right. All right. So we are back with Kishma and Ajani. We're speaking about this beautiful book that Ajani and Kishma co-wrote. This mother-daughter duo. All right. So we know that the book is out on the various platforms like Amazon. But and have you guys seen success with this book first? And if you have seen success in terms of sales, um, will there be a part 2 to this book?
So I'll answer the first part. I'll let Ajani answer
Sure,
the second
sure.
part. So we have not officially launched the book, actually.
Ah,
So we've given you the inaugural
I
interview
got you.
because the the book was released towards the end of November. We would be having a few copies at the Writers in the Spotlight at SOAFA on the 28th of
Yes,
January.
yes, I heard about that.
But yeah, so the idea is to generate sales locally, but more than that, we would really love to see the integration of the book in our school system. We had a conversation with, and I do forget the acronym now, so just so I don't offend anybody, but they're
Right.
responsible for
Mm.
autistic children on the island. So it's a nice support
Yes.
program, and they've indicated interest. So we'd love to have those books where children can read it. It can be a part of every library.
Got you.
So that is the goal. So we would love to launch it. We're hoping to do so in March, and then we go from there. We would love to launch it at the library, actually, for obvious reasons.
For sure, for sure.
But that's where.
Yes,
As it relates to a
yes,
second part.
Ajani. I want to hear from Ajani this time. Let's hear from you, Ajani, because I know that this goes as far as you go. So tell us, will there be a part 2 to this book, or maybe a different title altogether?
Well,
Well,
very love um, I'm not really sure yet, but I'm thinking about making a part because I really like this book and I like how it refers to me and I like how it can refer to any other child and help them to understand about neurodivergence. So I'm not 100% sure about making a part two to this book, but I'm really thinking about it because I really like this book and I like and I just like everything about it.
got you, got you. All right. So we look forward to seeing this new book. And to your point, Kishma, about getting it in the school system, I really like that. And I will try to use my links on my end to make that happen as well, because
Yeah, for
I
sure.
believe that this is something that, like you said, is not spoken about at all. Um, in well, let me not say at all. It's barely spoken about in Saint Lucia.
Mhm.
Um, and there are individuals I know in Saint Lucia who are pushing this very forward. In fact, this is close to my heart as well. For multiple reasons. I
Yeah.
have a niece with special needs, multiple special needs, who grew up with me like a sister. So I know that these individuals have very specific things that they need, and they're very bright, but people need to understand that they need to spend time with them and really get to know them to understand what makes them tick. They're just different. So it's very close to my heart. Also, my father is the officer in charge of special education on the island, and I know that this integration needs to happen not just in the special schools, but in the quote unquote normal government schools as well.
Yeah, across the board. Yeah.
Because there are children in those schools who can function, who are high functioners, but still are neurodivergent within that realm. So I think it's very important that we give these children, first of all and foremost, we educate the children, and then even they can educate their parents, because some parents are in denial that this is actually something that's going on, right? So we need to educate the
Mhm.
children. If we educate the children, I think they can actually do an amazing job in educating the parents. And I think your voice, Ajani, is a very important voice in that regard. You are so amazing. You are brilliant. I love speaking to you. You are very intelligent. I like how you speak. You are one of the best spoken guests, and I know my other guests won't have any issue with me saying this. You speak so well and clear. And I really like how you are going about this process as a young author, and keep it up. I like it.
Thank you.
All right.
Um, I will say this, Quinn, and I do appreciate the support and bringing us on here. The story was created with a Caribbean background.
Okay.
So Mia is a little black girl with puffs.
Yes.
The illustrations are mango trees and guava
Mhm.
trees and coconut trees, and the language is language we can relate to. Because it's kind of to shed light on who we are as individuals. And I am neurodivergent. Like you said about the high functioning one.
Yes.
So sometimes I think we have a box idea of what that looks like for people, and we just figure, okay, this is how persons are supposed to
Mhm.
look, behave, or be in that particular space. So I think the idea of and I remembered your dad.
Yes.
The idea of Nia and the Whispering Breeze is something that it will, like Ajani said, allow for children to feel seen,
Yes.
and that is so important.
Absolutely. All right. So then let's talk about launching. I'm thankful that you gave Game Changers the first media opportunity for the book launch. But let's talk about the official launching. What are the plans? You spoke about, having it at a book fair, but what are other plans to help promote this book, and how can we help?
Okay. So the book fair would be, of course, towards the end of the month. So I would have the book as well as my other books um available for purchase then.
Mm-hmm.
But as it relates to the official launch, we would we want to do something that is encompassing of the book. So a sensory corner, some of the activities. So the book launch would serve as not just coming to get the book, but getting tips, getting suggestions on how to deal with neurodivergent children. And we're speaking about the signs that are not always obvious. Autism, for example, is a spectrum.
Yes.
As you know, it's a spectrum disorder. So if you are on the lower end of the spectrum, then certain things would be obvious. But if you're like me, where I'm high functioning autistic, so you would not know.
Mm-hmm.
But then my desire for clarity, my desire for I can be very hyper focused and forget to eat. There's just too much sounds happening. So these are not things that you would see.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
understand? So we want to create an area where you can have sensory toys. We can have the children have a play area where they can create things. Have the 5 4 3 2 1, which is something that I do for Ajani.
Mhm.
5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear,
Mhm.
3 things you can smell, 2 things you can touch, 1 thing you can taste,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. I think I mixed one. But to kind of get your brain centered. So we want to have some of these activities at the launch. So we would appreciate not just the media coverage, but the network that you have to pull it. We want to do it at the library because it allows for the perfect place to do so
Absolutely.
in terms of just creating a love of books.
Absolutely.
So that is where we're at with it in March. So there's some paraphernalia and some stuff that we need to get. So it feels more of an experience than anything else. Have some readings, have a Johnny read from the book. Have, children come and read from, because the language is simple,
Yes.
and have persons experience that in its entirety. So that is what the launch would look like
Got you.
for us.
100%. All right, guys. So we quickly come to the end of this amazing interview. I want to thank you guys for coming on again. Thank you so much for the conversation. Like I said, you're making history. I've had 2 people. I've had sisters. I've had a boyfriend and a girlfriend come, but I've never had a mother and daughter. And you guys are here at the same time. So it's very, very, very special today. It's very important to me that you guys were here. So thank you so much for that, and thank you
Thank you.
for being such great
Yeah.
guests.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we do encourage persons to get the book on Amazon, and of course, we will furnish you with whatever else you need. We're working on a calendar as well.
Okay,
Oh, I forgot to
go
mention.
ahead.
So we're working on a calendar for the book launch,
Mhm.
but the idea is for neurodivergent children to keep it in the room. So we have a basic one, but let me show you a sheet. So each sheet would have a picture and it would have an empowering
Nice.
quote at the bottom.
Mhm.
So this one says, Your brain is special. There's no one else like you.
Nice.
And then it has something to do. So January, for example, would be breathing. So take 3 slow breaths, like a gentle breathe,
Mm.
sorry, in, out, in. So each month would have um something that you can do as a practice and a quote. So the idea is for the children to constantly feel reinforced, feel seen as they progress.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I like that a lot. Honestly, this has been an amazing
Thank you.
interview. And yes, I look forward to how Game Changers can collaborate with you, but also how I can collaborate with you guys on a personal level to help promote this book.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
This is something that St. Lucia and the rest of the world needs to hear about and needs to see. So thank you so much for this conversation. I want to thank my audience
Yeah.
for listening. Thank you for looking at this episode. Thank you for being here with me. Game Changers is a youth-focused educational platform. So people like Ajani from their age and even older than Ajani, this is the platform for them. Thank you so much for coming and listening to us. Remember to like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, and download the episode if you're listening to us on audio streaming platforms. Game Changers is available wherever you get your podcasts. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you soon. Stay hungry, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.